In ancient times, there were significant connections between different civilizations and cultures. For example, the Greeks established the famous Library of Alexandria, where they gathered knowledge from various sources, including the African continent. This library contained important texts, such as the Medu Neter, ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, the Bible, the Torah, and other Jewish books. It's important to note that these texts were written many centuries after the events they describe, including the Exodus. The persecution of the Hebrews, according to this perspective, took place in Canaan rather than Egypt. During the time of Taharka, an ancient Egyptian pharaoh, he went to Israel and saved the black Jews from the Persians who intended to exterminate them. The Kushite army, led by Taharka, defeated the Persians and protected the Hebrews' existence. As history progressed, the Greeks were eventually replaced by the Romans, who absorbed and adopted aspects of Greek culture. The Romans also overtook and suppressed African Hebrew populations, seizing their wealth. They closed ancient temples in places like Yemen and made the use of Medu Neter, ancient Egyptian script, illegal. Some of the former Egyptian temples were converted into Christian churches by the Romans, who occupied them rather than building new structures. By the time of the Nicene Conference in 319 AD, the Romans had amassed significant power and eliminated opposition. They transitioned from persecuting Christians to adopting Christianity as a means of furthering their economic and political control. The Vatican and the Pope became central figures in this new religious structure, even sanctioning slavery and granting permission for Europeans to capture Africans for enslavement. The Greeks and Romans regarded certain European tribes, such as the Picts, Germanic tribes, Anglos and Saxons, as culturally and technologically backward. These tribes were not considered suitable for slavery by the Greeks and Romans due to their perceived lack of value as laborers. The Greeks and Romans viewed them as less advanced, compared to civilizations like the Hebrews and ancient Egyptians. These were various pagan groups in Europe who did not adhere to Christianity or any other major organized religion. The term pagan typically referred to those who held beliefs outside of the dominant religious systems. These pagan groups were not considered part of the Hebrew or Roman religious traditions, and they often practiced their own indigenous faiths or worshipped multiple gods and goddesses. Some pagan groups in regions like Russia, particularly the Khazars, converted to Judaism during the Holy Wars. These conversions were motivated by economic and political factors, rather than a deep religious connection. The Khazars saw an advantage in aligning themselves with Judaism, as it allowed them to engage in trade with both Christian and Muslim societies. It's worth noting that Europeans learned about Greek philosophers from the Moors during the period when the Moors ruled Spain. The Moors set up universities and colleges where Europeans had the opportunity to study and gain knowledge about ancient Greek philosophy. During the period between 1000 and 300 AD, significant changes were occurring. A new concept of God was being created, and old traditions and groups were being destroyed. The Romans embraced Judaism and became converts, while the Canaanites, including a significant black population, were exterminated. The term Middle East was strategically coined during World War I and II to separate Egypt from its African identity and place it in a specific geopolitical region. Understanding these historical connections and transitions helps shed light on the complex interactions between different civilizations and cultures throughout history.